Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us in the final show for 2022. We appreciate your attendance today. Hopefully you enjoy the show. We got some great topics lined up. You may already notice that we're down or we're missing one of our esteemed colleagues, Mr. Bill McBride. He is caught up with travel-related challenges and issues. If you've traveled any at all this year, you probably already understand how that can happen so much. So last minute sort of crisis with his travel. So we're going to try and cover without Bill today. I'm not sure how good we'll do that, but we'll do our best to make sure we still put on a good show without him. And then also, before I forget, we have made a change as we go into next year. In 2023, we're going to be doing the shows quarterly, one each quarter. So this will be our last one for this year. And then we'll be back again on January the 18th as we start the new year. So thanks again for joining us. And Blair, I know you've got the first topic, which is something of interest to everybody, wellness biohacking, although some may not really understand what biohacking means.
Yeah, and you know what? I just noticed the bill wasn't here. Normally, none of us take two topics in a row. I will point out that I'm taking the first two topics. Bill had biohacking, so that's why you're going to see me on these first two topics. And so we've got a slide, and I'm going to Christine. I'm not going to click the slide, but I'm going to have Christine kind of click through it for me. So go ahead, Christine. You can click to the, yeah. So what I wanted to point out here, let's stay right there for just a second. I want to, this is how I think we need to think about this biohacking space. I'm see what you guys think about this and how we start to take more advantage of it in the fitness space. So, looking into this a lot and traveling around and now paying a lot of attention to this whole biohacking space, I think we should be thinking about what we do in fitness is just biohacking. It's another form of biohacking. Think of that as anything you do proactively to make you're kind of owning your health and you're doing something proactively on your own. So I came up with a way to think about that. So let's take on the far left is no effort and discipline. On the far right is, it takes the most effort and discipline. Go ahead, Christine, you can click there. And then above the green line, I want you to think of these as active biohacks, and below it as passive biohacks. And I don't make any claim that this is exactly right, but it is, I believe, directionally correct. Go ahead, Christine. Then, as people start to enter, so yeah, on the far left, if you're doing nothing at all, take care of yourself. And then you start. Go ahead, Christine. You can click through those. Yeah. On the far left, I want you to think of these as the most. They take the less amount of discipline and exertion, but they're above the green line still. These are active biohacks, and below the green line are passive. Now, but you also have, like, partway through there, I have meditation as a passive biohack. It doesn't take exertion, but it sure takes a lot of discipline. And now there are companies that are coming up with pods and things to help more and more people learn to meditate. Go ahead, Christine, click again there. So here's what I contend about this space. I'm seeing a lot of clubs, putting these, we call it recovery. I'm cautious about using that name outside the industry because people think of drug and alcohol rehab as recovery. But we're starting to put in things into our clubs, which I think is a good idea. And I think there are those things that are appropriate to be in the clubs for recovery. But when you visit some of these places that are separate from the club, that you don't go into the club, navigate the front desk to get to the cryotherapy, man, 80% of their business is not health club members. So what I think is happening is that more and more people, and we saw it from all the data from McKinsey and others on what people are willing to spend on their own wellness now. Well, that starts over there on the far left. Right? It starts with things like supplements and massage chairs. And oftentimes people might stay below that active line for a very long time. But go ahead and click again, Christine. So here's what I'll contend. On the far right, this is what we've been doing in our industry forever. We propose that the entire population do the biohacks that take the most discipline and the most effort. And what the public is doing, and by the way, on the far left, that IDGAS is I don't give a shit, is what that is. That's the part of the population that just is probably not going to ever do anything. So it's not about getting the other 80% of the population. I think it's the other 60% of the population. And kind of, I think they'll get seduced along this, biohacking spectrum by doing the things like, whether they do IV therapy or cryotherapy or compression, the things that make them feel immediately good. Eventually they get up above that active line. And at some point, I think it becomes much easier to pull them into the fitness industry. At the same time, we have people that are doing the most intense biohacks that then may move to the other side and start doing some of the recovery stuff. So that's how I kind of see the space. I think it's better if we see ourselves in that whole realm, because I think that's sort of how the consumer is looking at it. I'll stop there and let you guys weigh in.
Yeah, Blair, we were discussing this, I think, a few months ago with our roundtable, and you kind of positioned this with us, and I thought it was really well laid out. I think two other points I would make, and you're exactly right. If we want to reach that other 80% that we're not reaching, we've got to change sort of the positioning of what we're selling, if you will, what we're offering, because you're right, we're stuck way over here with that really highly disciplined, high exertion, lots of activity, and the 80% really is not ready to take that big of a leap. So that's point one. And then point two, as we've talked about previously on this show, when we talk about, and I'm with you, we don't want to call them recovery, but outside of the industry. But when you look at those types of facilities, the studios like the Recovery and some others that are out there, what we've learned already from those is we thought initially that health club members would primarily go to those facilities rather than people coming to those facilities and then becoming members. And the reverse of that is true.
Right.
So people seem to be really gravitating to those more passive rejuvenation, revival types of modalities, and then they're becoming engaged in the health club, much more so than the reverse.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's happening also because of that reduction of occupational therapists, physical therapists, that we can't go as long, and then we reach out and do like stretch lab, or we do something else. And I also think we've got to shift this mentality that, okay, if you're going to join and you're going to go to group X, you've got to go 3 times a week, and you've got to stay for the full hour, and you've got to, and it's like, we need to shorten that, and we need to hold their hands literally through this.
Yeah. And I think getting people started, just to get them started. I mean, if you think about, like a massage chair or hydro massage, it not only doesn't take effort or discipline, it actually feels really good and you look forward to it, right? I mean, that's very different. And so speaking like of the Recovery and EK there, talking with one of his franchisees, has a Regimen Fitness, one entrance over here, and he's got a Recovery entrance over here, spent quite a bit of time there. 90% of his revenue comes from non-members. And and I won't say what his revenue is, but I was shocked what his revenue was. So I'll stop. And then, okay, that takes me right into topic 2. And so this is actually what happened to us. And so this is really kind of a cautionary tale to everybody out there. So the timeline on this is our general manager got a note that she had to change her password on her Facebook account. She was asked 3 times. They were all Facebook notifications. And so she tried to change her password and was not able to do it. She got hacked. They were in the process of hacking. They posted 18 military photos of people being shot. They immediately took down her page. She went in to get it reestablished, and they said, "Well, you're not associated with any account." Right, because I've been hacked. And that put her into this circular equation where there's no help whatsoever. She started to Google, like, how do you get, if your Facebook is hacked, what do you do? A phone number popped up. Here's who you call. It's a scam. It was a scam. She was asked to download an app so that they could see her phone. She said, "I'm not downloading anything." At the same time this is happening, my Facebook page, I get a deal to change my password. My son actually managed that. He calls me and says, Dad, see if you can log in. I couldn't log in. My Facebook page gets taken down. My personal. I don't really use my personal one. I have it so that I can do our business one. Then within 2 days, we have 7 admins on our Facebook page. All of them got shut out. None of us could access our account. I'll just cut to the, we had $4,500 in marketing charges on the credit card that we have on that Facebook account happen. Still no help from Facebook. They don't care. They don't want you to be able to call or contact anybody. And whatever form you're doing will take you through a circular equation and spit you right back out. Searched on Reddit, lots of Facebook hacks out there. We learned that filing a complaint with the Attorney General helps, especially Arizona or Washington. So we filed a complaint with the Washington Attorney General. They immediately contacted Facebook. Within a week, we heard from them, from Facebook, and said, okay, you got to fill out these forms. We started, but then I posted something on LinkedIn asking for help. A bunch of scams came in. And then Jeremy Fischel at, dang it, I did this yesterday too, at, oh shoot. What's his company? What's Jeremy's company?
Formerly Epsilon, now Red Lion.
So anyway, he and his team contacted me and said, look, we have more pull there than you do. We spend a lot of money there. We can help. And so those guys, I just got to give kudos to them because they jumped in immediately just to help our team. They, by the way, they don't do this. This is not what they do, but I've been dazzled by them. They've got contacts there. I'm not asking, please don't call them to help you on this. But the cautionary tale is go change your passwords frequently, make them complex. And, yeah,
I think it's instinctive insights, Blair.
It is. It's instinctive insights. I always want to say innovative insights. I have to stop myself when I do that. Instinctive insights. Those guys have been awesome.
But it's terrifying when you get everything hacked. We had an old Facebook page for SCW, and I don't know what, we couldn't find the password to it, but we couldn't open a new one until we closed the old one. And there is no phone number. There is no way to contact anybody. And it's awful.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing. And part of it was, you know, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, we're planning our Black Friday day. We have 8,000 followers on that Facebook page. We still can't get to our account yet. And so all of our digital marketing that we're going to do for Black Friday, was cut way down because that's a big part of where we do it is there.
And Facebook is more, it works better for you than Instagram. The Instagram is linked with it. So could you do anything on Instagram? Could you do anything on LinkedIn or Twitter? Interesting.
We could on Instagram. And we were able to post some stuff on Instagram about our hours and stuff that got posted to our Facebook page. But we couldn't run the videos, the other stuff that we wanted to do. I don't know all the nuance in it, Sarah, but yeah, the good call out on that.
Yeah, I had to shut down my Facebook because I was really concerned about all that. And I heard it was really the only people on Facebook anymore are old people. Oh, wait, no, wait a minute. I never had any Facebook. That's what it was. That's what it was.
You're that old.
That's the best proof right there. Hack proof. Don't have a Facebook account.
I find that for business, our Facebook account is phenomenal. That's where we get it. And with Instagram, you can post all you want and you get a lot of likes and people adore it, but they never buy off of Instagram. They buy off of Facebook, which is interesting.
Yeah. All right, Sarah, go ahead and segue into our next topic there. New York Times on gyms.
All right.
Did
I
they
really
write something positive about gyms for a change.
Yes. I was very happy about this. It's kind of one of those general articles, but it was earlier this month. And whenever I see positive results or positive feed on anything, it stimulates people to purchase because they feel like, oh, this is a good place to be. So I was very happy about this article. It really focused a lot on the real estate aspect. And I'll start with that. Real estate is depressed, especially commercial real estate. A lot of restaurants have gone out, a lot of businesses have gone out. not as many health clubs have gone out, which I think is interesting. They used to really not like real estate, like fitness industries going into real estate, like a health club. We don't want to don't go into our mall. You're going to take up all the parking spaces. Don't go into our apartment building, the clanking, nobody's going to want to live below it or above it. And it's too much, we'll get complaints. We don't want you. The remodeling costs, if you have an independent or an associated building, that the landlords don't want you because they know that that rent is going to be linked with them making investments into construction. That's shifted now. They want us there. They want us in malls because we drive traffic, and traffic is lessened. I mean, we know that, I don't know if you guys looked at the statistics from Black Friday, but Black Friday sales were up from 2019 by 18% and 38%, of course, by 2021. So Black Friday did really good for us. But this real estate, we want more people to come in. They want traffic. And I found that pretty interesting. Lifetime went way up. They actually increased their gym visits from March through October by 18%, which is really cool. And also their square footage went up by 34%. So they're able to get more space. And that's important because the more space means more ability to have the traffic. They need the more space because people are still a little bit cautious about breathing on each other. And the depressed rents made this possible. The space for fitness went from about 2 million to 4.5 million square footage. And that's because of all these record vacancies from the restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. And the retailers for shopping centers actually started reaching out to fitness centers instead of waiting for inbound interest. So that's a shift in traffic. So if you guys are looking to open more facilities, now is the time to do it. Now is the time to go into closed facilities and think about how you're also going to set it up. The article noted 2 different occasions when facilities upgraded so they could mount videos. Okay, so it's not just streaming your workouts, it's making sure they're on demand, but it's also getting these Instagram influencers to be able to film themselves. So they were planting videos like on top of equipment so people could just, hook in their cell phones to get to video themselves and use it for Instagram reeling, which I thought was pretty cool. And it wasn't just Lifetime that they talked about. New York Times talked about Planet Fitness, which has 2,324 stores, mostly in the US, and they added 300,000 members in the second quarter of this year. So Planet Fitness, which is that no frills, $10 a month, is doing really well, along with Lifetime, which is $250 a month memberships. And the last thing that the New York Times mentioned was Exponential Fitness, which we all know as those independent brands, like the niche boxing, like Rumble and Stretch Lab and the bar program and the yoga programs. And they're really starting at that $50, memberships per month. And that's interesting. I thought it was very, very positive. And it really talked about across the board that things were growing. So that's good for us. I like it.
Yeah. Well, and when we get towards the end here, I'll cover off on the IHRSA consumer report, but that maps nicely with the research IHRSA has done for the 2022 consumer report. It's just nice to get good news out there about gyms, right?
And the other thing they're doing is they quoted the IHRSA report, and they actually talked to our board of director for IHRSA. What's wrong with me?
Chris Crater.
Yeah, Chris Crater, and they quoted him. And you know what that means? That means that as an industry, we're getting respected by the New York Times, which is something we wanted before the pandemic, so we could actually get decent decent governmental support. But the New York Times is recognizing us, I like that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
That's
good.
good. And that's the perfect segue to the next topic, which is mine, about increasing our credibility and getting more recognition. I want to share this highlights of an article written by Michael Stack, who's on faculty with the University of Michigan. He also has his own podcast called the Wellness Paradox Podcast. And here's some of the 5 steps he thinks we need to embrace to bring more professionalism to our industry. So step number 1 is inclusive imagery, messaging, and hiring. And we've touched on this a little bit in previous shows, talking about the need to be more inclusive, to show more diversity of age, race, ethnicity, gender, physical condition, et cetera, as well as in our hiring practices as well. And although I think we've begun to make some strides toward that, we still see a little bit too much of this. If you'll go to that next slide there, Christine. I received this just this last week from a local fitness facility here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And this just really smacks of exactly what we hope to move beyond, which is, really unrealistic sort of models, if you will, that the vast majority, that 80% that we're not using, is probably not going to be attracted to. It's part of this whole concept of gym intimidation, that new word that we've all learned over the last several years. And then it's combined over on the right with, again, sort of shooting our own industry in the foot with, every offer seems to be based on a decreasing our value by cutting our prices. And so I just want to throw that one thing out because it just happened to come in my inbox just this last week. And it's exactly what Mr. Stack in his article is suggesting we need to move away from, as far as making it more appealing to that 80% by who we're featuring in our ads and at our front desk as our instructors, et cetera, in our facilities. Okay, go ahead to the next slide there, Christine. Step 2 is he's advocating that we need to shift to science-based claims. And as an industry going back for decades, it's one that's really been built on body image, right? Playing to people's emotions about how they want to get more in shape, but that's primarily to look better. And now, we're hoping to encompass not only looking better, but also moving better, feeling better, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally, and tying it to valid research to support the claims that are out there. And again, some of it's not typically health and fitness facilities and gyms that are the problem, but just ancillary services as well that are making claims about results that people might get, and that are pretty unrealistic when you really get down to it. So we need to keep shifting as an industry to more science-based claims and then delivering on those, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Step 3 is increasing the professionalism of our actual professionals in the industry. That we need to really just demand that people are educated and certified. Hopefully they have college degrees, depending on what level they are in your organization. But we need to up the credibility of our industry. And one of the only ways we can do that is to increase the education and knowledge that are required so that our people are more able to help those, particularly, again, that percent that maybe hasn't been coming to us in the past, that may have some pre-existing conditions, some chronic health conditions. I saw some statistics just earlier this week that 60% of the United States population, adults that is, have at least 2 or more chronic diseases. That's baffling to me. So we know that we need to be able to, as instructors, help those people that may not have that optimal health when they come in. They have some pre-existing things, which is more the norm than it is the exception. Step 4 is cross-sector collaboration. This is something I really, when I was on that brief stint as an interim with IHRSA, tried to work on, is, opening the tent up and inviting others to join us. And, if you will, join hands with those in other sectors of our industry, whether that's the manufacturers that are making all the equipment, whether it's some of the people that are producing the smart devices like the Apple Watches and Whoop and those sorts of items, or some of the nonprofits that typically we've not joined forces with. And I think we're making strides on that. But I think as individual club operators, we need to take that to the next level and acknowledge that we're not the single source to get everybody the results. And there's an opportunity to partner if we reach out and do so in the right way. And then step 5, the last one is outcome measures. And Mr. Stack is advocating that not only do we really need to get better about tracking outcomes, but we also need to get better about sharing those, not only with our clients, but perhaps with the health and fitness community, the medical community, their physicians, so that we are really tying the programs that we're offering to getting tangible and meaningful results, and then being able to demonstrate those. And through those 5 steps, and Mr. Stack believes we're going to increase the professionalization of the fitness industry. I thought it was a really well done article. I know we put it in the chat if any of you would like to read it. It's very well written. I think it's right on the mark, and I want to share it with everybody.
That was a great article. Michael's great. He's actually presented at the Manias and the Health and Fitness Business Summits. And just so you know that, I know we're running out of time for this topic, but we noticed at Mania, we always are regulating and seeing what people want to go to, what they want to attend, what's up and coming. Exercise science, the interest in exercise science rose from number 5 to number 3, which I found was interesting. Usually it's like, oh, I want to take a bar class. I want to do, something like that, Zumba. No, they're getting more scientific, and we're having more and more individual certifications that are specialized, which I think is key.
Great. Blair, you want to add anything to that before we move on?
The only thing I'd add is, you started off with the piece of marketing, and then we went through the 5 points, and and with the way social media marketing has gone, I think there's a much bigger opportunity to get away from the old style marketing and be more informative, covering off on those 5 points, right? Is that I think that really helps that professionalism a lot, where we're just more informative, a little less flashy about maybe the advertising and that. So, if you're going that direction, remember there's a lot of clubs that are doing quite well, not playing in that space too.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true as well. Yeah. All right, Sara, we appreciate you taking on the smart fitness topic. That was one of Bill's as well, and you stepped up. So thank you for that. And I believe you got a video even prepared.
Yeah. Thank you, Christine. I appreciate you doing that for us. First of all, the first thing I want to say about is, like, who's the person doing smart fitness? Who's the smartest one on the? Never mind. Sorry. This was Bill's topic, and I did jump in because I'm very committed to this. I think the number one thing we have to think about is integration. How are we going to take the information from our watches, from our machines, from cardiovascular fitness devices? How are we going to integrate it, use it, gamify it, and make it part of our health club experience? That's something we need to think about. We need to get this type of equipment. We need to get eGym, InBody, techno gyms, the Whoops, get your Apple Watch to speak to your equipment, to speak to your app, to speak to whatever devices you're retaining the information. We need it. It's a necessity. Thank you, pandemic. Maybe it was the silver lining. Maybe it's what's going to drown us, but they want automation, and they want it frictionless. They want to make sure that you get this information, you retain this information, you can use it. And the description I use, it's like, if I get into my husband's car, I can push Number two, and the whole seat adjusts to me, and the steering wheel. Well, he's got a much nicer car than I have, but it adjusts completely to fit me like a device, like a piece of fitness equipment. And I find that fascinating, because when we integrate these in-body, these e-gyms, these techno gyms into our health clubs, we're going to get a little bit of pushback and rebellion from that personal trainer, because do we need the trainer to adjust the weight, adjust the seat, do things like that? Remember, it's on a little note card, the information, how much weight we lifted last week, what the position is for the seat and the arms and the legs. The personal trainers get a little offended. So Blair and I were chatting about Rochester Health Club. They're amazing the way they integrate new equipment in. And they really made sure that the personal trainers did all the introduction, and the personal trainers actually made sure that the clients were well adjusted and accepted it. And I thought that was fascinating, because we want to save all this information from heart rate, blood pressure, oxygen, lever length, what we're going to do these things, and we've got to make it easy. So, Blair, we were chatting just a little bit about this, where one club also bought new equipment, and you don't want to get rid of your old stuff because some people still like it. But if you buy this new equipment and everybody gets used to it, everybody's going to want to go to it. And then the health club unfortunately got complaints. So they got rid of entirely of their old stuff, put in all their new stuff, and integrated everybody into these new systems. So I think this smart fitness, we're stuck with it. We just have to figure out a way to integrate it.
And to make sure that it really is smart, right? Like what do we mean by smart fitness? It's not necessarily just something collecting data. It's something that's doing another job as well. In the case of eGym, it might be self-adjusting the equipment, and it's also guiding you for how much weight you should use and the pace of your repetition, for strength or power, for whatever. So that's getting a job done. The other thing I'd point out is, I think a lot of smart fitness takes away some of it might be taking away some of what the trainer does, but it's taken away the non-value add stuff. The trainer remembering my seat height doesn't add, right? I mean, that's not a value add thing. So, and you have, how many personal trainers do you have? How much penetration do you get for actual personal training? Something like eGym starts to penetrate deeper and deeper, I think, into the group. Rochester Athletic Club is very strategic about what they do. They're very smart. They're very deliberate, and that's one of the reasons they've had a lot of success. So, smart fitness should do other jobs. And a great example is when my mom was having some heart issues and going to the cardiologist, and she got a smart scale. And if her weight fluctuated too much, she got a call from the doctor, right? And it just said, you're up 2 pounds, so that's really doing a great job. I think that's a great job of smart fitness.
Smart fitness really allows you to be more connected and make it more customized or more personalized. I think those two things are valued by everyone, and it really is a multiplier. It's not a detractor, it's a multiplier. It's a value add to whatever services you're delivering. And as I think Sara mentioned, as they did at Rochester Athletic Club, the personal trainers and that human touch is still very valuable when it's done the right way.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to have that human touch. And I love setting the goals, because if you've got a goal, there's something you're going to achieve, and you got to go back to the club, and it keeps you that much more connected. But I am going to disagree with the one thing, Blair. I think it's awesome if I can walk into the club and automatically that machine picks out exactly my position. It's such a time saver. So I like both aspects of that smart fitness, the gamification, the way I can keep my goals. And I love that the equipment, it's easier to use. It's smoother. I just go right in and it's ready for me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. What I'm saying is sometimes we pay trainers to do things that aren't adding value.
Yeah, and we're short-staffed. This goes right in for automation and self-service.
Exactly.
Because, yeah, it really does. I'm going to jump right into the next topic, because automation and self-service, we don't have enough staff. We don't have enough group fitness instructors. The personal trainers, hello is personal. They left us. Front desk staff, it's like trying to find them it's killing us. So I was in the airport the other day, and luckily I made my flight, even though Bill didn't. But I made my flight, but I went to Frontega Grill, and I usually walk up to the front. I do travel a lot. So I go up to the front of the line, and I actually know the woman's name. She wasn't there. I was like, what is this? You could only register by the iPad. I had to pick my salad and what I wanted right there on the iPad. And I did it really quickly, and I went in. Same thing with Panera. They did away with that front desk person. The nail salon. Okay, sorry guys, I know you're like staring at me like, what the heck's she talking about now? But in Target, they started this new nail thing where you put your nail in, your hand in, and it takes a picture of your nail somehow, and it will spray paint your nails with the nail polish. It's $10. It takes like 30 seconds. And you got a manicure for $10, and it's typically $30 or $40. We are getting automated, and we need to do this. We need to do this because this is what people expect of us. And what I'm also finding interesting is like Bloomingdale's totally redid their whole brand. They got rid of Bloomingdale's. They're now Bloomies. You go in, they've got like every shoe size, but they don't have the shoes. So you go in, you try it on, you order it online. Okay, reduce the size of the retail store and automate, and it gets delivered to your home. So I don't have to walk around with packages on Black Friday. Same thing with Wayfair, but reverse. Wayfair, you used to buy furniture only online. Now they opened a small box where you can go in and try it. And so you can see the furniture, but you can't buy it in the store. Again, you go online. So I love this, that everything's getting automated and we're self-service, but I'm sorry, I miss that connection when I go into my restaurant, when I go into my store and I know somebody. And I feel it with what's going on with, let's say, Yoga 6 and Core Power. Core Power, you have nobody at the front desk. It's the instructor. So if the class starts and you're literally 30 seconds late, you can't get in. Whereas with Yoga 6, they're sitting there at the front desk, kind of waiting for you to go in. But with Core Power, what did they do? They trained me to get there early. So I'm not, it's this automation and this self-service. What's it going to do to our industry?
I think it's going to help. I think it's going to help the industry because of labor shortages, because of skyrocketing labor costs. Right before Thanksgiving, Escape announced a Series A, $30 million Series A, fully automated, data-driven massage therapy. Series A, 30 million. You know, so before the pandemic, McDonald's went all in on experimenting with the kiosks, doing that because of labor costs. Now they can have like half as many employees. On like at the airport, when I go to a restaurant, I like the service. I want somebody to come up to me and I want to talk to them just like you do, especially in your neighborhood restaurant. Not so much in an airport. I'm good with the QR code on the table. I'm not repeating back to this restaurant and getting to know the staff. So in other words, it's doing the right job at the right spot. The self-service is, and the automation. The nail thing I think is pretty cool, right? I mean, what it might do is just have more penetrate the market deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I think they started at Target, and I got to be honest, it'd be great to have it at a health club. You sit there and you take your class, while your nails are drying, which is kind of cool. But it is fascinating how automation is so taking off and replacing individuals. And I worry about that because I worry about unemployment. But because we're replacing these, labor tasks. And how do you think of, Blair, you deal with this all the time. How do you think it's going to deal with service and connection to the club?
In some ways, some of it gets better. Just like when I go to the SeaTac Hilton, I don't want to check in. I don't need to talk to anybody. I check in on my app. I go to my room. I unlock my door with my phone. Right. So there just has to think of the use case. In which use cases do I just want to get past the front desk and go work out, and they could just say hi to me because I'm automatically checked in. right? There's the right use cases for it, but people want to be around people.
And you know that 35% of memberships that are of people that are joining, 35% of them do it all online. Don't talk to anybody now. 35. I was
Yeah.
amazed by that. And I also think if you're gonna automate the way people register, one thing I noticed is so many people became mind body clients. And if I automatically see that it's mind body, I actually trust it. You know, it's bigger, it's recognizable. And this is some ways like, you know, ABC Fitness Solutions. I recognize it. I feel comfortable with it. I can go in. So when we're selecting these type of automations, you know, we got to be strategic.
Mhm.
Yeah, and some of them are small steps, right? I think some of the clubs that I've worked with over the last year, they're going cashless, which when you think about that, that's automation really, because there's a lot of processes to counting cash and making sure the business office counts cash and then depositing the cash and going to the bank. And so there's a lot of things like that, like automated check-in, like membership sales online that clubs can embrace to have an immediate impact on staffing levels for sure.
And I know we're going over, but I totally agree with you, Brent. I totally agree with you. We also examined just yesterday our abandoned carts. And we automatically, after 30 minutes, if somebody abandons their cart, if they're purchasing something like, you know, or a membership or group classes, whatever, 30 minutes later, we send them a reminder. 3 days later, or 1 day later, we send them a reminder, and 3 days later. And I thought, is that annoying them? Am I going to get remove me's? What's going on? We found 44% of the abandoned carts were being answered. 44%. It equaled $1,362. So if you are not using your abandoned carts, you guys better.
Yeah, good suggestion. Good suggestion. So the next topic, Hilton surveyed some travelers, not just in the US, but in 6 other countries as well over the course of the last year. And they're one of the few hotel, you know, operators and chains that are global and have this many travelers, this many guests that stay with them, that they could do this really sort of holistic survey of their clientele. And what they found around the topic of wellness, which I was surprised even at these numbers, fully half of the respondents to the surveys said it was really important to them that during their travel, they were able to address their mental and physical wellness. They didn't go into exactly what that defined as, but that was at the top of their list for half the people. And 25% of the people, 1/4, said it was really important for them to have access to adequate, good health and fitness facilities, a place where they can get a workout in and maintain their workout schedule when they're traveling. So Hilton's taken that to heart, and one of the things they've announced just here in the last month is that they're going to make sure in every Hilton Health Club gym, there's at least one Peloton bike in there, along with some of the other equipment that they're offering. And they're also developing a suite of rooms that are going to include Pelotons actually in room, along with some other workout equipment for those types, for that level of suite, if you want to call it that. Now, that's not necessarily new. There's been some Marriott, Hilton, some of the others, Four Seasons have been doing a little bit of that, but Hilton's raising the bar and saying they're going to really jump into that feet first. The other thing they got feedback on, no surprise, was the nutrition aspect, that not only do people feel challenged to maintain their fitness regimen when they're on the road, but also their nutritional discipline tends to drop on the road because they're much more willing, or you know, the access to really good, healthy food is limited. And so they're asking the hotel, they're asking Hilton to provide more healthy nutritional options outside of the dining experience, you know, in the restaurant. So if you don't have that much time, where can you get some healthy dining snacks options in their facilities? And so they're rolling out some of those options as we go into 2023 as well. So all of that really overall just suggests that, you know, I think their last statistic was 35% of travelers wanting to address their mental health and well-being on trips. And again, that's a pretty high percentage of people that are really identifying that it's so important to them. And it's another sign about wellness, right? It's at the top of people's mind more than ever.
I think one of the biggest headlines of this is that Hilton did the survey.
Yes.
I mean, just think about that. I remember, you go to if a hotel had a fitness room, it wouldn't be very good. Now you look at, I mean, they have that, every hotel chain has really up-leveled what they're doing in fitness. It used to be, if I'm in Vegas and I get up early in the morning, I could go down to the gym and there'd be a few people in there. Last time I was at the Wynn, not too long ago, I literally couldn't get on a piece of equipment, not one piece. And the gym at the Wynn is pretty, if you've ever been there, it's pretty big, has a lot of gear. It was completely packed. And so I love that Hilton did this survey. I think that speaks a lot to what they're seeing out in the marketplace and the impact that wellness and fitness is having.
And hotels.com looked at, where people register on hotels.com, and people look for health clubs. And so what's happening with some of the hotels is they're saying they have a health club, but it's not on site. It's like they have a relationship with a club that's nearby. So as club owners, boutique studios, chains, etc., get affiliated with a hotel.
Yeah, that does, like, when you're selecting a hotel someplace you've never been, what the first thing I do, I want to see their photo gallery. I want to see photos of the fitness center. And then I go to Google Map and I put gyms near me, right? Gyms near this hotel, and see what's nearby. And of course, they're tracking that data when I do that, and when everybody else does that. But just the level of investment that you're seeing in everything from a Hampton Inn and Suites to a Residence Inn to all the other brands, what they're investing in their fitness room now is, tells a pretty big tale. I love that a lot of people talked about the food though.
And
Blair, I have to call you out and say, hey, yeah, you can always find some place to work out, like that place near Tiny Town, Pennsylvania, middle of nowhere, where you found a fitness center and you drove over there and they just called and said, hey, just go on in. The light switch is behind the door. You turn the music on if you want to help yourself.
And literally, see that door? I'm on the phone. See the door over there behind that desk? It's to the kids club. Yes. It's locked. Yes. Just put the $10, slide it under that door. Swear to God. I did. Got my workout in, went back to
you're weird. But the other lesson here is, if you get affiliated with a hotel, you got to charge for the first visit. People more and more are like, you can't just walk in and, oh, your first visit's free. Your whole first week is free. If you're going to do a special, limit it. We've got to increase, going back to what Brent had said earlier, we've got to increase our value.
Well, if you do a deal with a hotel, a lot of times they're going to buy so many visits from you, right? And then you count those down, sell them at a discount, count those down. Yep. Okay. IHRSA Consumer Report. First thing to call out is this is a very extensive report for 2022. And, sometimes you get, there's names in the industry that are out there all the time, and I just never want to gloss this over, that how much help Rick Caro gives to this industry. And, there's a big thank you to Rick Caro for his guidance and everything on this. So I want to thank Rick Caro too, because, his fingerprints are on so many things that we sort of take for granted in this industry, including IHRSA. So that's my first call out about this report is Rick Caro. It breaks into 7 chapters. The first chapter is trends. The second chapter is member behaviors and business models. The third chapter is attendance and tenure. The fourth chapter is fees. The fifth chapter is activity participation and equipment utilization. So activity participation is yoga, tennis, etc. Equipment utilization is treadmills, free weights, etc. The sixth chapter is demographics. The seventh chapter, no, I missed one there. Race and ethnicity, and then demographics is the last chapter. So just a few things, things that sort of surprised me in this. Just over 1 in 5 Americans ages 6 and up reporting belonging to a health club. 1 in 4 reported visiting a health club. So 1 in 5 belong, 1 in 4 have visited. So there's a lot of people that have visited that didn't become members. A lot of changes from 2019 to 2021. When you look at what transpired from 2019 to 2021 in some of the graphs in this report, it doesn't even appear that there was much of a dip, because you're looking at it by the year and saying how much things bounce back. The biggest decline, might be no surprise, was studios. That sector has lost over 9 million members in that sector as the point where they did this report. Fitness only lost, I think it was 1.4 million or something like that. A couple other things. Even in the COVID environment, the trend towards multiple memberships sort of held up. 26% of respondents said they have more than one membership. Yeah, one thing about that is pre-pandemic, there were 1.39 memberships per member. Now it's 1.2 memberships per member, but 26% of respondents saying they have multiple memberships. Older members visited health clubs more frequently, and it's fairly linear. I mean, the older they are, the more visits that people had. 55 to 64-year-olds visiting 88 times per year, while 6 to 12-year-olds reported the lowest usage at 48 visits per year. I was a little surprised when I went down to 6-year-olds, right? So one of the categories they have in there when they break down the fitness industry by category is multi-purpose clubs. So it makes sense, right? There's a lot of camps and kids programming.
And Blair, if I remember correctly, even though the age of attendees was averaging older, membership was trending younger.
Yes, exactly right. The most growth in membership was in the younger demographics.
Right.
That's right. Yep.
Women were coming back slower than men.
Yeah, although they say it's right now, it's about equal, males and females. I was surprised to read that males are more likely to purchase personal training than females. I like anecdotally in our clubs, that doesn't appear that way to me at all. Average tenure. Now, I like how they're looking at average tenure here. When you hear this, you're going to think, holy crap, that's a long time. Stayed steady over the course of a decade, 4.7 years, dropping slightly to 4.5 years in 2021. But the way they're measuring tenure is not how long you stay at a health club. It's how long you stay in the fitness industry. And so they had 14% recidivism. So 14% of people left the industry.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So when they're doing this, obviously it's, somebody may have canceled the membership one place and joined someplace else. So 4.7 years. Higher income correlated to higher tenure. More money. You have 31% of members with income over 150,000 had memberships for 6 more years versus just 16% of members, 6 or more years. 16% of members with incomes under 25,000. Member spend per month has gone up across the board everywhere. So we've said this before, if you haven't raised your prices, it's probably a good idea if your competitors are, the whole thing has come up. I'm not speaking to Planet Fitness. I know that would be, it's religion for them to stay at $10. They have their reasons for doing that. Treadmills remain the most popular. Here's the punchline on equipment. I know we're coming to the end here. Treadmills, free weights, selectorized. That's the 3 most popular things in clubs. Activity-wise, most popular thing, activity, yoga. 23% of respondents saying they did yoga.
And racket sports.
But not mentioned in here, and I'll bet it will be in the next one, was pickleball.
Right.
I couldn't find the word pickleball anywhere in the 67 pages.
No, I mean, I was so upset.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a great report. And if you haven't gotten that from IHRSA, yeah, please do. It's worth the read. It is pretty in depth, but it's great information about the basics of what's going on in the industry. Well done. Third party did the research and then pulled it all together.
And it really speaks to the resiliency of the industry, by the way. It just supports how resilient the industry is. And I think with this report out there, you're going to see more and more private equity. It's going to help attract, let's put it that way. It's going to help attract more investment.
It already is.
Yeah. Yeah. To your point, Sarah, it was cited in the New York Times article, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's definitely, and there was just a brand new thing on Ohm Fitness franchise growth. That's that piece of equipment that you put the vest on, and it kind of, sometimes it's a full body and it vibrates, and you do a quick 25-minute workout and you get like the workout of like 2 to 3 hours. It was interesting, and it was, they attracted a lot of investors. They're going crazy with it.
And it also is great information for, as you mentioned about the real estate earlier, Sarah, that, those landlords and people with vacant retail spaces are becoming more aggressive, reaching out toward health and fitness operators to come and take those spaces. And part of that's buoyed by this kind of information that comes out suggesting that, hey, when tough times come, the health and fitness facilities are pretty resilient, as they were back in the 1980s and different times as we've gone through some downtimes.
Right.
And if we focus, like we started talking about marketing, if we focus our marketing on that wellness aspect, not just how we look, but how we feel. And that helps us. And I do think the socialization is important. I love this automation, but I think this is our environment. We can make this the place to meet and greet people. Yep. And we still have that craving. We're not at the 1920s where people are rushing back like we all thought. I was the biggest proponent. They're all going to come flooding back. Like, I have no idea what drug I was on there. But it seemed, I think in 2023, it's going to get that much bigger and that much stronger.
Yeah, I think it will too. A few things that happened in the 20s, though, there wasn't after that, remember there was a world war that happened alongside that also ended, pandemic ended, so you had that dynamic, which brought a lot of people back to, a lot of consumption after that,
Yeah.
of everything. People were consumers of everything.
My son,
part of the
Such
reason.
as, Blair,
It's that.
such as, they're consumers of everything, such as, can you give us a few examples?
Good. Well, yeah, right, exactly. In that case, there was a lot of alcohol, but also clothing and cars and jewelry and everything else. There's just a lot of a global vibe out there happening right now. And I know we're in our 50-minute after chat, so I'm just going to roll with this for a minute.
I was scared about this because I knew about the war. And then boom, my son, we were at home. I was working in the front office. My son was working upstairs. He came running downstairs. He said, they just bombed the Ukraine. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to go. I mean, maybe we're mirroring the 1920s a little bit too closely. I was a little scared about that.
Yeah, well, I do think that is causing a global negative, I think it's suppressing a lot of stuff, not to mention the amount of money that's being spent there. A lot of weird stuff happening. We talked about this beforehand. I don't know if anybody else saw it on their news feeds, but if you, after the World Cup and during the World Cup yesterday, go on and look at some of the videos of what was happening in Iran during that game. People wrapped in American flags, cheering the American team. When they scored that goal, there's a lot of videos of people in streets, horns honking, people cheering, people waving American flags. Man, there's a lot going on out there. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and if I did mention earlier about the IHRSA consumer report, it is listed in the chat for if you want to get a copy of that. It's available to you if you'd like to do that. And the consulting firm that was used was LEK Consulting. So they did a nice job, and then Rick helped round it out the right way.
Yep. All right.
Well, Bill, if you're out there able to even hear this right now, which you're probably not, but you can read the recording and see that we survived without you, but we hope you get home safe at least.
Yep, exactly. There's one question in here, advice on how to recover a Facebook account. I don't. I haven't been very successful at it, and I'm not gonna stick people over on instinctive insights. But I will say this: find out somebody that spends money, a lot of money with Facebook, and has an account manager. That's the way in. And Sarah, I don't know how much money you guys spend. You may have an account manager. That's a way to escalate. And then the other thing I would say is, I don't know about just, not having a password to recover that account, but filing with an attorney general in case of a scam or being hacked, that got some attention quickly.
And I will tell you, this happened to my cousin, which is terrifying. Her son, who's a teenager, and all teenagers are stupid, they started chatting with this girl and chatting with this girl and chatting with this girl. And she sent him like not the best photos, if you get my drift. And then he's sending, naked photos and whatever. It was a scam. And then he got a text: if you don't pay us, we're going to send this to all your friends.
Oh.
That's terrifying. That can ruin a kid's life because he's in high school. And my cousin had to research it. It was terrifying. She had to research it. She called me up crying like I could, do something because I'm a lawyer. I have like no clue. And I said, just lock him in his room and don't let him out until he's about 25 and can support himself. But no, and she had to figure out, do I pay this person not to disclose this, or what do I do? And she ended up not paying and threatening, and she went to an outside company. There are companies that will help protect you against this, and it costs thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Wow.
It does cost thousands of dollars. So, but this is something you got to tell your kids. You've got to tell your staff. They're representatives of your company. And
yeah.
you got to watch what they're posting, on Facebook. And one of the things I can't stand about apps is it's all enclosed, and you're talking to the people that already are members. I don't want to say I don't care about them, but I want to reach into Facebook and Instagram and get new members. But you've got to be really cautious of these influencers you have in your gym.
Yeah, I think the direction that a lot of people are doing with their digital, and this is from I think every big brand out there, is that the website is all about non-members and the app is all about members,
Mm-hmm.
And it puts a real bright line between how they're developing, how they're thinking about those two different things, and what they're going to use those for. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you can't not have an app now, which is
Yeah,
and I think it's not just that, Sarah. I think most clubs know they kind of need an app, but I think in our last show, we actually highlighted the fact that you got to have a good app, right? Our consumers are used to having apps for a lot of the services and places that they utilize all the time. And those are more sophisticated, more user-friendly typically than what we have in the health and fitness arena. So not only do you need an app, but it needs to be one that's, outward facing and consumer driven.
And this is it's really kind of easy to do this. If you go on your phone to Safari or Google and you get a link, you go to somebody's website, all right, and you can actually share it to your home screen. So you have your own app. Like I go to different studios and I share it to my home screen through Safari. If anybody wants help on that, I'll throw my email address in there and I'm happy to help you do it. But something happened to our app and we wanted to do an app and we couldn't figure out how to do it with 7 shows and blah, blah, blah. It was a big pain. So we just have people share the home screen, share the little website that we built for the conferences to their home screen. And we teach them how to do it. You can do it through a little QR code. And I didn't have to pay for an app. And of course, I can't send messages and it's not as controlling. But if you don't have an app yet and you don't have any money and you're just starting out and you need something, find that little website, share it, teach your people how to share it to their home screen. and it automatically populates your logo. It's really kind of weird.
You guys see in our topics that we selected, and by the way, out there, the way we select topics is a lot of, what's in the news, what new research is out there, what's happening in the industry, what's happening on the fringes of the industry, what's happening completely outside the industry that might impact the industry. You see any themes through this, like today? I mean, there's a bit here, right? I mean, like there's, the biohacking thing. There's a lot of innovation happening, a lot of new investment, and that in the New York Times article, a lot of new investment, right? And enhancing and monetizing smart fitness, automation, the Hilton survey, and Consumer Report. A lot of that is about where people are placing their bets, who's innovating, how much money is coming into this. Yeah, there's we're on the edge of growth. So I got the sun kind of coming in at a weird angle here. I still feel we're on the real precipice of a lot of growth if the economy can participate.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All the signs that we've been sharing on these shows for the last quarter for sure are trending that way. And it's really looking like 2023 is going to be quite the year for all of us in the health and fitness industry, just as you suggest. So, well, we're a little bit past the hour. We thank you all for joining us again, not just today, but throughout this whole year. Hope you'll be back with us in January and we start the new year off right, if you will. So again, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you in the new year, everyone. Take care. And thanks a lot, Sara and Bill, for all your time this year. For those of you that don't know, they're volunteering along with Bill, their talent and their expertise for all of you to bring these shows just to help keep our industry informed and current and hopefully challenged to stay on the cutting edge. So thanks.
Hey, Sara,
Yeah.
did he just call me Bill? He did, I think. Didn't he?
I said Blair and Bill. Blair and Bill.
Oh, I thought. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yep. See y'all later.
Bye.